The alarm screamed through every corridor of the colony ship Meridian. Captain Linda Hayes gripped the arms of her command chair as another explosion rocked the vessel. Sparks flew from damaged control panels and the lights flickered between normal and emergency red. "Hull breach on decks 7 through 9, someone shouted from the damage control station. "We've lost the starboard shield generator." Linda's jaw tightened. She had 3,000 civilians aboard this ship. Families, children, people who had signed up for a new life on a distant world, not a battle they couldn't win. Through the main viewport she could see them. 5 alien ships, sleek and dark, circling like sharks around wounded prey. "Get me a connection to the colony holds," Linda ordered. "Tell everyone to get to the emergency shelters, now." Her first officer, a young man named Peter Blake, worked frantically at his station. "Captain, the aliens are charging weapons again. They're coming around for another pass." Linda had never seen these aliens before. Nobody had. They had dropped out of nowhere 3 hours ago and opened fire without warning or communication. Their weapons were like nothing in human records, beams of concentrated energy that sliced through the Meridian's shields as if they weren't even there. "Return fire," Linda said. "All available weapons." The Meridian wasn't a warship. It was a colony transport with only basic defensive systems. Their missiles launched, streaking toward the nearest alien vessel. The enemy ship didn't even bother to dodge. The missiles exploded harmlessly against its shields. "No effect, Captain," Peter reported, his voice shaking. Another blast hit the Meridian. The entire ship groaned, metal screaming under stress. Linda felt the deck tilt beneath her feet. They were dying. Slowly, painfully, they were being torn apart, and there was nothing she could do about it. "Send out a distress call," Linda ordered. "Maximum power. Every frequency we have." "Captain, the nearest human outpost is 3 months away at best speed," Peter said. "By the time anyone receives this—" "I know," Linda interrupted. "Send it anyway." Peter nodded and began working. A minute later, he looked up. "Message sent. It's broadcasting on repeat." Linda took a deep breath and activated the ship-wide intercom. She needed to sound calm, confident even though fear clawed at her throat. "This is the captain. We are under attack by an unknown hostile force. All hands prepare for possible evacuation. Families with children head to the emergency escape pods. Stay calm and help each other." She released the intercom button and stared at the alien ships on the screen. They were regrouping, preparing for another strike. How much more could the Meridian take? Halfway across the galaxy, in the gleaming towers of Earth's Fleet Command, Admiral Marcus Webb was reviewing supply reports when his personal communicator buzzed. The signal was marked urgent, highest priority. "Admiral, we're receiving a distress call from the Keltar system," the communications officer said through the device. "It's from the colony ship Meridian. They're under attack." Marcus was moving before the officer finished speaking. He strode into the command center, a massive room filled with holographic displays and dozens of officers monitoring human space. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered to life. The message was broken, filled with static, but the images were clear enough. A woman's face appeared. Captain Linda Hayes, Marcus recognized from her file. Behind her, the bridge was a disaster of smoke and sparks. "This is Captain Linda Hayes of the colony ship Meridian," the recording said. "We are under attack in the Keltar system by unknown hostile forces. We have 3,000 civilians aboard. Our defenses are failing. We need immediate assistance. Please, if anyone receives this—" The message cut out, then looped back to the beginning. Marcus studied the partial images of the attacking ships. They were unlike any design in human records. Sleek, aggressive, powerful, and they were slaughtering a defenseless colony ship. "Get me fleet positions," Marcus ordered. "Every ship within 6 jumps of Keltar." Officers scrambled. Data poured across screens. A tactical officer spoke up. "Admiral, we have the carrier Valkyrie in the Deneb sector, 4 jumps out. The Dreadnought Arizona and her battle group are 5 jumps away. Total available forces," he paused, calculating. 37 warships, sir." Marcus didn't hesitate. "Send the order. All ships are to converge on Keltar system immediately. Maximum speed." "Sir, that's nearly a third of our entire fleet," another officer said carefully. "If this is a trap, then we'll spring it with enough firepower to level a planet," Marcus said coldly. "Those are our people out there. We don't abandon our own. Send the order." Across human space, warships received their commands. On the carrier Valkyrie, Lieutenant Jack Morrison was in the pilot's ready room when the klaxon sounded. Every pilot snapped to attention as their squadron leader burst through the door. "Listen up," the commander shouted. "We just received a Priority 1 distress call. Colony ship under attack, 3,000 civilians. We're jumping to Keltar system with a full battle group. Flight ops in 30 minutes. Get to your fighters and prep for combat." Jack felt his stomach tighten. He'd been a fighter pilot for 3 years and had never seen real combat. Training simulations, yes. Mock battles, plenty. But actual combat against an enemy that wanted to kill him? Never. He looked around the ready room at the other pilots. Some looked excited. Others looked scared. Most looked determined. These were his brothers and sisters, his squadron. They would face this together. "You heard the man," Jack said, standing. "Let's go save some people." The pilots rushed to the hangar bay. Jack climbed into his fighter, a sleek craft bristling with missiles and guns. The cockpit closed around him, and he ran through his pre-flight checks with practiced efficiency. All systems green. Around him, the massive hangar bay of the Valkyrie was organized chaos. Dozens of fighters were being prepped and loaded. Technicians swarmed over the craft like ants, checking weapons, fueling systems, making sure everything was perfect. Jack's radio crackled to life. "All fighters, this is Valkyrie Actual. We jump in 10 minutes. Once we arrive in Keltar, expect immediate combat. Intelligence is minimal. We don't know what we're facing, but we know they're hostile and they're killing our people. Show them what happens when you mess with humanity. Good luck and good hunting." Jack took a deep breath and gripped his controls. Somewhere out there, people were dying. People who had done nothing wrong except want a better life among the stars. And now 37 warships full of angry humans were coming to get them. He hoped the aliens were ready, because humanity was about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. The Meridian had been running for 4 days. Captain Linda Hayes had managed to keep her ship alive through desperation and luck. After the distress call went out, she made the only decision that made sense. She ran into the asteroid belt at the edge of the Keltar system. The alien ships followed, but the dense field of spinning rocks forced them to slow down. It gave the Meridian precious time. Linda ordered all non-essential systems shut down to reduce their energy signature. The ship drifted among the asteroids like a ghost, hiding, waiting, hoping. "Captain, they're sweeping the belt again," Peter Blake whispered, as if speaking too loudly might give away their position. "Fourth pass in the last 6 hours. Linda watched the scanner display. 5 alien ships moved through the asteroid field in a search pattern. They were methodical, patient. Eventually, they would find the Meridian. It was just a matter of time. "How are the civilians holding up?" Linda asked. "Scared but calm," Peter replied. "The emergency shelters are crowded, but people are helping each other. A few minor injuries from the initial attack, but medical has it under control." Linda nodded. She hadn't slept in 4 days. None of the bridge crew had. They took turns dozing at their stations, always keeping someone on watch. Coffee and stimulants kept them going, but Linda could feel exhaustion pulling at her bones. "Captain," the sensor officer suddenly spoke up. "I'm reading something. Multiple contacts just entering the system." Linda's heart skipped. More aliens? They couldn't survive another attack. "How many?" The officer's hands flew across his controls. His eyes went wide. 37 ships, Captain. And they're broadcasting human identification codes." For a moment, the bridge was completely silent. Then Linda felt something she hadn't felt in 4 days. Hope. "They came," she whispered. "They actually came." Admiral Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the Dreadnought, Arizona, watching the tactical display with sharp eyes. 37 ships had made the jump together, a feat of coordination that spoke to the training and skill of human naval crews. "System scan complete, Admiral," the tactical officer reported. 5 unknown hostile vessels detected in the asteroid belt. "We're also picking up a faint signal. It's the Meridian." "She's still alive, sir." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. "Good. Captain Hayes managed to keep them breathing until we got here. Now let's finish the job." He activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Webb. We have a colony ship full of civilians hiding in that asteroid belt, and we have 5 hostile vessels hunting them. Our mission is simple: destroy the enemy, protect our people." Battle stations. Throughout the fleet, alarms sounded. Weapon systems powered up. Shields came online. Thousands of human sailors prepared for battle. On the carrier Valkyrie, Lieutenant Jack Morrison sat in his fighter, Feeling the ship vibrate as it maneuvered into position, his radio crackled with chatter from other pilots. All fighters prepare for launch, the flight controller ordered. First wave deploys in 90 seconds. Jack ran through his weapons check one more time. 4 missiles, full ammunition for his rotary cannon, electronic warfare suite online. Everything was ready. He was ready. The hangar bay doors opened, revealing the black void of space beyond. One by one, fighters launched from the Valkyrie, forming up into squadrons. Jack's turn came, and he felt the familiar push as his craft accelerated into space. "Phoenix Squadron, form on me," his squadron leader ordered. "We're going in first. Our job is to scatter their formation and paint targets for the big guns." Jack checked his position relative to the other fighters. 12 craft in his squadron flying in a tight formation. He could see other squadrons spreading out. Nearly 100 fighters in the first wave alone. Commander Amy Peterson stood in the Arizona's Tactical Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the entire battlefield. She had been given command of this operation's tactical planning, and she intended to make every shot count. "Battle Group Alpha, take position on the left flank," she ordered calmly. "Battle Group Beta, you're on the right. Battle Group Charlie remains center. We're going to hit them from 3 directions at once." Ship commanders acknowledged the orders. The human fleet began to move, spreading out like the wings of a massive bird of prey. "Admiral, the hostile vessels have detected us," the sensor officer reported. "They're breaking off their search and moving to engage." Marcus watched the alien ships on the display. They were fast, he'd give them that, but they were also arrogant. Instead of retreating or calling for backup, they were moving to attack. "Let them come," Marcus said quietly. "Commander Peterson, you may begin when ready." Amy studied the displays for a moment longer, making sure every ship was in position. Then she spoke into the fleet channel. "All units, weapons free. Engage at will." The first to move were the fighters. Jack Morrison felt his stomach lurch as his squadron dove toward the alien formation at maximum speed. "Missiles away in 3, 2, 1, Fox 3, his squadron leader called. Jack's finger pressed the launch button. 2 missiles dropped from his fighter and ignited, streaking away on trails of fire. Around him, dozens of other missiles launched simultaneously, filling space with a deadly swarm. The alien ships tried to evade, but there were too many missiles coming from too many directions. Explosions blossomed across their shields, bright flashes of light in the darkness. "Direct hits," someone called over the radio. "Their shields are fluctuating." Behind the fighter wave came the real hammers. The Dreadnought Arizona and 4 other capital ships opened fire with their main weapons. These weren't energy beams or plasma bolts. They were railguns, firing solid projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The kinetic rounds slammed into the alien ships with devastating force. Where the missiles had weakened the shields, the railgun rounds punched straight through. One alien ship took 3 direct hits to its midsection and broke apart, torn in half by the sheer impact. 1 hostile destroyed, the tactical officer reported. Marcus nodded. "Continue firing. Let's see how tough they really are." Captain Linda Hayes watched through the Meridian's viewports as the battle unfolded. It was like nothing she had ever seen. The human fleet moved with precision and overwhelming power. The aliens who had terrorized her ship for days were now the ones being hunted. "They're not even trying to negotiate," Peter said, awe in his voice. "They just showed up and started shooting." "That's what you do when someone attacks your people," Linda replied. "You hit back, hard." Another alien ship exploded, this one taken out by a coordinated strike from multiple human destroyers. The remaining 3 aliens finally seemed to realize they were outmatched. They turned and tried to flee. "Phoenix Squadron, pursue and destroy," came the order over the military frequencies. Jack Morrison pushed his fighter to maximum speed. His targeting computer locked onto the nearest fleeing alien ship. The range closed rapidly. At 2,000 meters, he fired his remaining missiles. "Got him," Jack said as the alien ship's engines exploded. The vessel tumbled out of control, dead in space. The battle had lasted less than 20 minutes. All 5 alien ships were destroyed or disabled. The human fleet hadn't lost a single vessel. Admiral Marcus Webb opened a channel to the Meridian. "Captain Hayes, this is Admiral Webb of the Earth Fleet. We received your distress call. Are you and your passengers safe?" Linda Hayes felt tears running down her face. "Admiral, we're safe. Thanks to you. All 3,000 of us. That's good to hear, Captain. We're sending medical ships and repair crews. You're going home." Linda looked around her damaged bridge at her exhausted crew. They had survived. Against all odds, they had survived. "Thank you, Admiral," she said. "Thank you for not leaving us behind." The engagement began exactly as Commander Amy Peterson had planned. Lieutenant Jack Morrison's fighter squadron screamed through space at maximum velocity, weaving between the larger capital ships. His targeting computer screamed warnings about the alien vessels ahead, but Jack ignored them. He had a job to do. "Phoenix Squadron, break formation and engage at will," his squadron leader called. "Make them think about us instead of the big boys behind us." Jack pulled his stick hard to the right, breaking away from the main group. His fighter spun through space, dodging incoming fire from the alien point defense systems. Bright tracers of energy weapons streaked past his canopy, close enough that he could see them clearly. "This is Phoenix 7, I'm lining up on the lead ship," Jack called into his radio. "Going in." He dove toward the largest alien vessel, the one that appeared to be their command ship. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of a human destroyer. Its dark hull was covered in strange markings, and weapon ports glowed with building energy. Jack's finger hovered over the missile launch button. The targeting computer beeped steadily, tracking the alien ship's movements. He waited for the perfect moment, then fired. 2 plasma-tipped missiles dropped away from his fighter and accelerated toward the target. The alien ship's shields flared as the missiles struck, bright explosions marking where they hit. Jack didn't wait to see the damage. He was already pulling up and away, his fighter's engines screaming at full burn. "Good hit, Phoenix 7, his squadron leader confirmed. "Their forward shields are down to 60%. All around Jack, the battle was intensifying. Human fighters swarmed the alien vessels like angry hornets, forcing them to divert attention from the approaching capital ships. The aliens were good pilots, but there were simply too many human fighters coming from too many directions. Behind the fighter screen, the real power of the human fleet began to show itself. The dreadnought Arizona, commanded by Captain Gregory Shaw, advanced steadily toward the battle. Its massive hull bristled with weapons, and its railguns were already charging. "All batteries target the enemy flagship," Gregory ordered from his command chair. "Sustained fire on my mark." The tactical officer counted down. "Range optimal in 3, 2, 1, mark." Fire. The Arizona shuddered as its main railguns discharged. 6 solid projectiles, each weighing several tons, launched from the dreadnought at incredible speed. They crossed the distance to the alien flagship in seconds. The impacts were devastating. The alien ship's weakened shields collapsed under the kinetic bombardment. 2 rounds punched straight through the hull, creating massive holes. Atmosphere and debris exploded outward into space. "Direct hits," the tactical officer reported. "Enemy flagship is heavily damaged and venting atmosphere." Gregory allowed himself a thin smile. "Good. Reload and acquire next target." But the aliens weren't defenseless. As the Arizona pressed its attack, 3 alien cruisers moved to flank it. Their energy weapons charged and fired in unison, bright beams of concentrated power that slammed into the Arizona's shields. "Shields down to 70%, the defensive systems officer called out. "They're targeting our port side." "Return fire, all port batteries," Gregory ordered, "and get me some support on that flank." Commander Amy Peterson saw the danger immediately from her tactical station. "Battle Group Beta, move to support the Arizona. All ships concentrate fire on those 3 cruisers." 4 human destroyers broke formation and accelerated toward the alien cruisers. Their smaller railguns might not pack the punch of a dreadnought, but they were faster and more maneuverable. They spread out and began firing from multiple angles. The alien cruisers found themselves surrounded. They tried to focus on the Arizona, but the destroyers were hammering them from the sides. One cruiser's shields failed completely, and a railgun round struck its engine section. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. On the opposite side of the battlefield, Captain Linda Hayes watched from the Meridian. Medical ships had docked with her vessel and were evacuating the wounded, but Linda remained on the bridge. She needed to see this. She needed to watch what humanity did to those who threatened their people. "The human ships fight differently than I expected," Peter Blake said beside her. "No fancy energy weapons, no exotic technology, just kinetic rounds and missiles." Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, Linda replied. You don't need sophisticated shields if you can punch a hole straight through your enemy's hull. As she spoke, another alien ship died. A coordinated strike from 3 human cruisers overwhelmed its defenses, and multiple railgun rounds tore it apart. But the battle wasn't one-sided. The aliens were fighting back desperately. One of their vessels managed to get a clear shot at the human destroyer Horizon. The alien ship's main weapon, a massive energy cannon, charged and fired. The beam struck the Horizon directly amidships. For a moment, the destroyer's shields held. Then they collapsed and the energy beam cut through the hull like a knife through paper. The Horizon broke in two, both sections tumbling away into space. Horizon is down, a voice reported over the fleet channel. Multiple casualties. Search and rescue is scrambling. Jack Morrison saw the Horizon die and felt his hands tighten on his controls. 200 sailors had been on that ship. Some of them had probably survived, trapped in sealed compartments, but many hadn't been so lucky. Phoenix Squadron, the ship that killed Horizon, is at coordinates 274, his squadron leader said, voice hard. Let's make them pay for that. Jack didn't need to be told twice. He swung his fighter around and accelerated toward the alien vessel. His remaining missiles were already locked on target. Around him, the rest of Phoenix Squadron did the same. All missiles, all of them, the squadron leader ordered. Everything we've got. 12 fighters launched their remaining ordnance simultaneously. Nearly 50 missiles streaked toward the alien ship, saturated its defensive fire, and struck home. Explosions rippled across the alien hull, and when the smoke cleared, the ship was a burning wreck. Admiral Marcus Webb watched the tactical display with cold calculation. The battle had been going on for 6 hours. 6 hours of continuous combat, of ships dying on both sides, of sailors fighting for their lives in the cold dark of space. But the tide had clearly turned. The aliens had started with 5 ships. Now only one remained, and it was damaged and outnumbered. Sir, the remaining alien vessel is trying to flee, the censor officer reported. Marcus thought about letting them go, thought about showing mercy. Then he remembered the images from Captain Hayes's distress call, remembered the 3,000 civilians who had nearly died, remembered the Horizon and its crew. All ships, Marcus said into the fleet channel. Full offensive, no quarter. We started this fight to send a message. Let's make sure it's received. The entire human fleet turned as one and pursued the fleeing alien ship. It didn't stand a chance. Fighters caught it first, their cannons tearing into its already damaged engines. Then the capital ships arrived and opened fire with everything they had. The alien ship tried to fight back, tried to maneuver, tried to do anything to survive, but it was too late. Multiple railgun rounds struck it simultaneously, and the vessel simply came apart, breaking into pieces that scattered across space. Last hostile destroyed, Commander Amy Peterson reported. The battlefield is clear. Marcus nodded slowly. All ships cease fire. Begin search and rescue operations for any survivors from the Horizon. Medical teams to assist the Meridian. Damage control teams assess our own casualties. He stood from his command chair and looked at the view screen showing the debris field that had once been 5 alien warships. The battle was over. Humanity had won. But Marcus felt no joy in the victory. They had lost good people today. The Horizon's crew deserved to be mourned. Still, as he looked at the Meridian floating safely among the protective screen of human warships, he knew they had done the right thing. When one of their own called for help, humanity had answered with overwhelming force. Let the galaxy take notice. The cleanup after the battle took 3 days. Medical ships worked around the clock, treating wounded from both the Meridian and the damaged human warships. Engineers patched hulls, replaced blown systems, and did their best to return the fleet to fighting condition. Lieutenant Jack Morrison sat in the Valkyrie's pilot-ready room, staring at the wall. His squadron had lost 3 pilots during the battle. Good people, friends, their empty chairs seemed to stare back at him accusingly. You okay? Another pilot asked, sitting down beside him. Jack shrugged. Just thinking about Danny, Kate, and Lee. They saved my life when that alien fighter got on my tail. Now they're gone. They died protecting civilians, the other pilot said quietly. That means something. I know, Jack replied. Doesn't make it easier, though. On the Arizona, Captain Gregory Shaw walked through the corridors, stopping to talk with crew members. Many bore bandages or signs of exhaustion, but their spirits were good. They had fought and won against an unknown enemy. That was something to be proud of. Captain, his first officer approached. Admiral Webb wants to see you in the main conference room. Gregory nodded and made his way to the meeting. Inside, he found Admiral Webb, Commander Amy Peterson, and several other senior officers gathered around a holographic display. "Ah, Gregory, good timing," Marcus said. "We're about to review what our boarding teams found on the disabled alien vessels." "They found something interesting?" Gregory asked. "Very interesting," Amy replied, manipulating the holographic controls. An image appeared showing the interior of an alien ship. "This is from one of the cruisers that survived intact enough to board. What you're looking at is their computer core." The image zoomed in on alien text scrolling across screens. Below it, human translations appeared. "Our intelligence teams have been working overtime to crack their language," Amy continued. "And what we found is disturbing. These aliens call themselves the Kresh. They're a predator species that has been operating in this sector for decades." She pulled up more files. Images of different alien species appeared, along with data notations. "They have records on dozens of civilizations. Most are listed as prey species. The Kresh hunt them, raid their colonies, steal resources." Gregory felt his stomach turn. "They're pirates." "Worse than pirates," Marcus said grimly. "Pirates steal. The Kresh exterminate. Look at this." Amy pulled up another file. It showed a peaceful-looking world, green and blue. The next image showed the same world on fire, cities burning, ships fleeing. "The Kresh attacked this planet 6 months ago," Amy explained. "Population was 2 million. Current population is 0. They killed everyone." The conference room was silent. Gregory looked at the images of other species, other worlds, all marked as prey, all targeted by the Kresh. "But here's the really interesting part," Amy said, pulling up a new file. "This is the Kresh notation on humanity. It was updated during our battle. The translation appeared on screen." Gregory read it and felt a cold satisfaction. "Species, humans. Classification, unknown. Threat level, extreme. Recommendation, avoid all contact. Do not engage under any circumstances." "They updated it during the battle?" Gregory asked. "According to the timestamps, yes," Amy confirmed. "About 3 hours into the engagement when it became clear they were losing badly. They sent this update back to their homeworld along with all their battle recordings." Marcus leaned forward. "Which means the Kresh leadership now knows exactly what happens when you attack human civilians. They came here expecting easy prey. Instead, they got a fleet of warships and got completely destroyed." "Did any of them survive?" Gregory asked. "Any prisoners?" Amy shook her head. "No. We found some bodies in the wreckage, but no living Kresh. They either died in the fighting or killed themselves rather than be captured." "Fanatics," Marcus muttered. "That's going to make future encounters difficult." "Sir, if I may," another officer spoke up. "Should we be concerned about retaliation?" "If the Kresh know where Earth is—" "They already knew," Amy interrupted. "Their files show they've been aware of humanity for years. They just didn't consider us a threat. That's changed now." Marcus stood and walked to the viewport, staring out at the stars. "Good, let them fear us. Maybe it'll make them think twice before attacking our people." 2 days later, Captain Linda Hayes was cleared to leave the Meridian and transferred to the Arizona. She wanted to thank the Admiral personally for saving her ship and crew. When she stepped onto the Arizona's hangar bay, she was surprised to see dozens of sailors lined up in formation. As she walked past, they saluted. She returned each salute, feeling emotion welling up inside her. Admiral Marcus Webb waited at the end of the formation. He extended his hand and Linda shook it firmly. "Captain Hayes, welcome aboard," Marcus said warmly. "How are your people?" "Recovering, sir," Linda replied. "Thanks to your medical teams. We had some injuries, but no fatalities. That's good to hear. Walk with me." They left the hangar bay and walked through the Arizona's corridors. The dreadnought was massive, more like a small city than a ship. Everywhere Linda looked, she saw sailors working, training, preparing for the next battle. "I wanted to thank you personally," Linda said. "When we sent that distress call, I didn't really believe anyone would come. We were too far from any outpost, too isolated." "That's exactly why we came," Marcus replied. "Distance doesn't matter. You're human. You called for help," we answered. "That's how it works." They reached the Admiral's office and Marcus gestured for Linda to sit. He poured 2 glasses of water and handed her one. "I'm recommending you for promotion," Marcus said, "and a new assignment. We're forming a permanent defense fleet for the frontier colonies. Someone needs to command it. Someone who understands what it's like out there, who knows how to survive against impossible odds." Linda blinked in surprise. "Sir, I'm not a military officer. I'm a colony ship captain." "You're a survivor who kept 3,000 people alive for 4 days while being hunted by a superior enemy force," Marcus corrected. "That's exactly the kind of thinking we need out on the frontier." "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Marcus smiled. "Your ship is going to be repaired and converted into a mobile command station. You'll have a fleet of warships under your command. Your job will be to make sure what happened to you never happens to anyone else." Linda thought about those 4 days hiding in the asteroid belt, listening to her ship groan under alien weapons fire, wondering if help would ever come. She thought about the relief she'd felt when the human fleet arrived. "When do I start?" she asked. "As soon as you're ready," Marcus replied. Across the fleet, similar conversations were happening. Lieutenant Jack Morrison was promoted to captain and given command of an expanded fighter wing. His pilots would train harder, fly faster, and be ready for the next threat. Commander Amy Peterson received new orders to fleet intelligence. Her job would be analyzing all the data recovered from the crash ships, looking for patterns, weaknesses, anything that could help humanity survive in a hostile galaxy. The human fleet began preparations to return home. The Meridian would be towed back for repairs. The Horizon's wreckage would be carefully recovered along with any remains of the crew. No one would be left behind. But before they left, Admiral Marcus Webb sent out one final transmission. It was broadcast on all frequencies in all languages they could manage. The message was simple. "To anyone listening, this is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Earth Fleet. The human vessel Meridian was attacked in this system by hostile forces. Those forces have been destroyed. Let this serve as notice to all species in the galaxy. Humanity protects its own. Attack our people and we will respond with overwhelming force. We seek peace, but we will not tolerate aggression. Choose your actions wisely." The transmission was picked up by listening posts across the sector. Within hours, it had spread to a dozen systems. Within days, half the galaxy had heard about the Battle of Keltar. And everywhere, species who had once seen humanity as just another potential victim began to reconsider that assessment. 6 months after the Battle of Keltar, the galaxy had changed in subtle but important ways. Human listening posts scattered across the frontier all reported the same phenomenon. Alien communications were different now. They mentioned Earth, they mentioned humans, and the tone was no longer dismissive or curious, it was cautious, sometimes fearful, always respectful. Lieutenant Dan Price sat at his monitoring station on Outpost Gamma, a small facility on the edge of human space. His job was to intercept and translate alien transmissions, looking for threats or useful intelligence. Today he was listening to a conversation between 2 alien merchant vessels. Negative, Cargo Hauler 7. Do not approach that sector. Human patrol ships have been spotted there. Understood, traffic control. Altering course, Dan made a note in his log. This was the 5th time this week he'd heard aliens actively avoiding areas where humans operated. Not because of any hostile action, but simply because they didn't want to risk an encounter. He composed a report and sent it to Fleet Intelligence. Commander Amy Peterson would want to see this. Amy sat in her office at Fleet Command, reviewing reports from across human space. The data was clear. In the 6 months since Keltar, hostile incidents involving human ships had dropped by 70%. Pirates who once targeted human freighters now avoided them. Aggressive species that had tested human borders had pulled back. The Battle of Keltar had sent a message that echoed across the stars. A knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in." A young intelligence officer entered carrying a data pad. "Ma'am, you asked to be notified about any diplomatic overtures from alien species. We've received 3 more this week." Amy took the pad and scrolled through the messages. The Vortian Collective wanted to establish trade relations. The Helios Republic requested permission to station an ambassador on Earth. The Centauri Alliance proposed a mutual defense pact. "They're not reaching out because they like us," Amy said thoughtfully. "They're reaching out because they're afraid of being on our bad side. Does it matter why?" The officer asked. "If it leads to peace?" "I suppose not," Amy admitted. "Schedule meetings with all 3 delegations. Let's see what they really want." Halfway across the galaxy, the Meridian hung in orbital dock above Mars. The old colony ship had been completely rebuilt. Its civilian compartments had been converted into command centers, strategic planning rooms, and expanded communications arrays. Weapon systems had been added, along with powerful shields and faster engines. It was no longer just a transport. It was a mobile command station, the flagship of humanity's new frontier defense fleet. Admiral Linda Hayes stood on the renovated bridge, watching through the viewport as warships took position around her vessel. 12 destroyers, 6 cruisers, 3 carriers, and 1 dreadnought, all under her command, all dedicated to protecting human colonies on the frontier. "Admiral, the fleet is assembled and awaiting your orders," her first officer reported. Peter Blake had chosen to stay with her, accepting a promotion to serve on her command staff. Linda activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes. Our mission is simple but crucial. We protect our people. We patrol the frontier. We make sure what happened to us at Keltar never happens to anyone else. The galaxy has learned that humanity responds to threats with overwhelming force. Let's make sure they remember that lesson. Fleet, prepare for departure." The ships began to move, forming into a tight formation. The Meridian took the lead, and together they jumped into hyperspace, heading for the frontier. On Earth, at the Naval Academy, Admiral Marcus Webb stood before the newest class of graduating officers. These young men and women would soon command ships, lead fighter squadrons, and defend humanity's interests across the stars. 6 months ago, Marcus began, a colony ship sent out a distress call. The Meridian was under attack, outgunned, and 3 months from the nearest help. Captain Hayes didn't know if anyone would come, but she sent the signal anyway. He paused, looking out at the eager faces before him. 37 warships responded. We didn't stop to calculate the odds. We didn't debate whether it was worth the risk. We simply went. Because they were ours. Because they called for help. Because that's what we do. Marcus pulled up a holographic display showing the Battle of Keltar. The assembled officers watched as human ships engaged and destroyed the Kresh vessels. We won that battle, Marcus continued. But more importantly, we sent a message. The galaxy has predator species, pirates, aggressors, species that see others as prey. For a long time, nobody knew what to make of humanity. Were we prey? Were we a threat? Were we worth paying attention to? He closed the display. Now they know. An SOS echoed through space, and humanity responded with a fleet of warships. We protect our own. We hit back harder than anyone expects, and we never ever abandon our people. The officers sat in silence, absorbing his words. You are the next generation of Earth's defenders, Marcus said. Some of you will command mighty dreadnoughts. Others will pilot fighters. Some will serve on research vessels or diplomatic ships. But all of you share one responsibility. When someone calls for help, you answer. Always. He saluted the graduating class. Dismissed. And good luck out there. Captain Jack Morrison walked through the carrier Valkyrie's hangar bay, inspecting the newest fighters. His expanded wing now included 60 craft, twice what he'd commanded at Keltar. His pilots were the best in the fleet, hand-picked for their skill and determination. Captain, the new recruits are asking about Keltar again, his wing commander said. Jack smiled. What do they want to know? Same questions as always. What was it like? Were you scared? How did we win so decisively? Tell them the truth, Jack said. We were terrified. We lost good people, but we had a job to do and we did it. That's what separates us from the predators out there. We fight for something bigger than ourselves. He looked at his fighters, sleek and deadly, and tell them this. Every pilot who flew at Keltar made a choice. We could have held back, played it safe, worried about our own survival. Instead, we flew straight at the enemy because civilians were counting on us. That's what it means to be human. That's what makes us strong. On a distant space station near the edge of explored space, an alien trader named Crix checked his navigation computer. His species, the Yalori, had been spacefaring for centuries. They knew the dangers of the galaxy well. Are you sure about this route? His co-pilot asked nervously. It's the fastest way to the trade hub, Crix replied, but it does pass through a sector where humans operate. Should we go around? Crix thought about it. He'd heard the stories. Everyone had. The humans who destroyed 5 Kresh warships without losing a single vessel. The species that responded to any threat with immediate and overwhelming violence. But he'd also heard other stories. Stories of human ships helping stranded vessels, of human merchants who traded fairly, of human patrols that actually stopped pirate attacks instead of just ignoring them. No, Crix decided. We'll take the direct route. The humans are dangerous if you attack them, but if you don't cause trouble, they leave you alone. They jumped into the sector and immediately detected a human patrol ship nearby. Crix's co-pilot tensed, but Crix simply broadcast their identification and flight plan. A response came back almost immediately. Yalori merchant vessel. This is human patrol ship Defender. Your flight plan is approved. Be advised. We've had reports of pirate activity in the next system. Recommend caution. Understood, Defender. Thank you for the warning. The patrol ship maintained a respectful distance as Crix's vessel passed through the sector. No threats. No aggression. Just professional courtesy, see? Crix said to his co-pilot. The humans aren't monsters. They just don't tolerate being pushed around. Back on Earth in the Fleet Command Center, Admiral Marcus Webb reviewed the latest intelligence reports with satisfaction. Hostile encounters down, trade increasing, diplomatic contacts up. Several predator species had withdrawn from sectors near human space. The strategy is working, Commander Amy Peterson said, standing beside him. We showed strength at Keltar, and now everyone knows what happens if they attack us. But we're also showing that we can be reasonable partners if treated with respect. Marcus nodded. That's the balance we need. Strong enough that nobody dares attack us. Reasonable enough that others want to work with us instead of against us. What about the Kresh? Amy asked. We haven't detected any activity from them since Keltar. They're out there, Marcus said. Probably licking their wounds and deciding what to do about us. But they won't attack human targets again. Not after we destroyed an entire hunting party. He turned to face Amy directly. The galaxy has always been dangerous, full of predators and prey. But humanity doesn't fit neatly into either category. We're not prey, we proved that at Keltar. But we're not mindless predators either. We're something new. Something the galaxy hasn't seen before. What are we then? Amy asked. Marcus smiled. We're protectors. We defend our own. And that makes us the most dangerous species in the galaxy, if you give us a reason to be. Across human space, on ships and stations and colonies, people went about their lives a little more confidently now. They knew that if something happened, if they were threatened or attacked, help would come. Not eventually, not maybe, but certainly and swiftly with overwhelming,